Episode 8, Nuclear Thunder. Chapter 8, Nuclear Thunder. To Stephen. I've run into a rather serious glitch that has messed up the troll I fused the other day. He got really angry earlier today with no apparent cause. I was angry myself, so could it be an issue with Mag? Once he got angry, Troll started flickering like a ghost and a rip through his skin appeared down his face. We were not in combat at the time, the program didn't indicate any demonic attacker then. Since I had someone traveling with me, I recalled Troll to keep him from going berserk. All of his data in the program is now messed up. It doesn't seem to be affecting the other demons I have, whom I've recruited or fused in the past couple of days. Any idea of what caused this, or what I can do about Troll? I feel really bad for him getting messed up like that. From Kezia. To Kezia. That is a very worrisome glitch. I'll get right on rooting it out to fix. We've had trouble with dark aligned demons being difficult to negotiate with already. We don't want other demons to distrust the program and refuse to work with us. There's a chance that it did have something to do with your emotional state, but I doubt that was more than a small weight upon what happened. More likely, the fusion of Orc and Gremlin creating the troll seems suspect to me. I know the Heretic Mansion is working with new technology too. You may have run into a bad combination of errors in that technology and mine causing problems like that. From my look at your current roster, your other demons should be fine. This doesn't seem to be a spreading glitch, thankfully. Although I'm not sure what exactly is behind this glitch, I've been able to recover the demon for you. Be careful with him for now, especially if he shows unusual mood shifts. From Stephen. To Stephen. I hope you can find a fix to it quickly. Only, you didn't recover Troll for me. I now have a frost giant who's much more powerful than any of my other demons. Strangely enough, he seems already loyal to me, much like the Cerberus who was fused from my dog Pascal. He's agreed to fight for me and protect me. I will keep an eye on him, although if he has a mood swing, we could be in trouble trying to calm Frost Giant down. From Kezia. To Kezia. Oh dear. He was a troll when I sent him back to your comp. Looking at him again, I can tell that he's unstable now and may change forms yet again. But yes, his loyalty to you is extremely high. I suppose we should be grateful for small mercies like that. After consulting with the owner of the Heretic Mansion, we have figured out what's causing this unstable demon. You shouldn't have gotten Troll in the first place. That fusion should not have worked at all, so it is the main source of this glitch. In most cases of incompatible fusions, the most common result is a Godot slime. That demon should be relatively stable, not like your troll turned frost giant. The Heretic Mansion needs to do more work with their methods to make glitched fusions less likely, while I've done some work to try stabilizing glitched demons if they end up with a summoner. If you decide you can't handle him, you would best be careful in how you dismiss him from your party. Finding some way to return him directly to the abyss is probably the best option, as he might be able to stabilize himself there. I hope nothing bad comes of this. From Stephen. Another night, another dream. This time, Kezia ran into Yuka quickly. He smiled and went right over to her.
Yuka. It seems we're alone this time.
She laughed and drew him close.
Oh You're already with me, right next to me. We may not be legally married yet, but I'm sure the gods of the world would recognize our union. Of course, they'd have to be blind not to.
Even as nice as that was, this didn't feel like that kind of dream.
But I feel there is something else to do besides just enjoying each other's company here. Do you feel like there's something you need to do?
Maybe, but it's something I should tell you, she said, turning solemn as she put her forehead on his.
I've been having this feeling the past few days, ever since I ate the apple you gave me, that our time together now will be short. Something will soon separate us. I was afraid that my capture yesterday was going to be it. I should have spent more time with you knowing that, but there's so much we need to do to keep Goto and the Americans from making things even worse.
It's okay, we're doing important things for others, Kazuya said.
Even if we do get separated, our souls are closely connected now. We'll find each other again, if not in this life, then the next.
I know, but I want to be with you now, she said, her voice breaking. Kazuya hugged her tighter.
I was so happy that you would choose me, especially meeting that woman for myself. But I know something else will try to divide us again, whether it's her or not.
They won't succeed, I'll love you forever, he said. The dream faded away shortly after that. But they were still together. The next morning, Yuka called the group together for a meeting.
Given what happened yesterday, I think it's time we took some more drastic measures, she said. Our tech people have already been working on something to help, an ID pass that will allow us past the military blockades. Today, I would like to use those fake passes to meet directly with Counselor Goto and Ambassador Thorman. They've been threatening each other the past couple of days over television and radio. If they don't stop that soon, I'm afraid active battles will break out between the American soldiers and the militia forces. We will attempt to mediate the situation so that everyone eases up until we have a better footing in our struggles against the incoming demons. I plan to do this myself.
Are you sure you should be doing that? The tactical lead asked.
We still haven't located the higher-up leaders, so you're still the main active leader in our resistance.
Yuka nodded.
I want to be direct and sincere with them. But don't worry, I don't plan on going alone. Kazuya, Alan, Jin, I'd like you three to accompany me on this mission. Although, please leave the negotiations themselves to me, my former work involved dispute mediation, so I know what to do.
We'll protect you, Kazuya said, getting nods of agreement from Alan and Jin. It took more convincing to get the others to agree. But at this stage, reducing the number of conflicts was important. Others in the group had identified where the two were staying, in protective bases with their forces keeping them defended. But with the pass, they should be able to get in to see them. After some discussion, it was decided that they should try the American ambassador first. Both places were accessible from the Shinjuku Mall, although Thorman's base was a longer walk.
How are we going to get them to take us seriously?
Alan asked.
You two are adults compared to me and Jin, but you're still kind of kids to people like Thorman and Goto. The fact that we can reach them at all might help,
Kazuya said.
And Yuriko did get the fight yesterday on live television, so they should listen to us for recognizing us from there.
Yuka frowned at the reminder of Yuriko.
She's not trustworthy, but I don't think she was exaggerating in that Goto would recognize what we've been doing is for the sake of the people. For that reason, I think he'd be willing to talk peacefully with us if we, me in particular, were to approach him.
The pass did get them into the underground base the Americans had taken for themselves, an underground area connected to their old embassy. There were no demons when they got indoors, so the Americans were managing to keep their own safe zone. Around them, the soldiers were serious, discussing plans for something. Whether it was to keep the demons in check or to strike against the militia wasn't clear as the four of them didn't stick around. The Americans had a makeshift hospital in one of the larger rooms, caring for their wounded as well as a few civilians they had rescued. In front of an elevator, a guard stopped them.
"Hang on, aren't you from that local resistance group against Goto's insurrection?"
he said in surprisingly good Japanese. Yuka nodded.
"Yes, I'm the district leader Yuka, and these are some friends of mine who are acting as bodyguards. I would like to have a meeting with Ambassador Thorman, soon if possible. He has been interested in meeting you, so that should be fine,"
the guard said, taking out a chunky phone. It looked like it was designed to take a heavy beating, much like his comp.
"Hang on a few minutes, we'll sort things out."
It didn't take that long as Thorman was quick to send a message to let them up to his office. It appeared as though they had moved some things from the embassy to this more secure location. National flags stood in the corners, bookshelves were full of reference binders and files, and a good office desk sat near the back of the room. Thorman himself was dressed in a formal business suit despite the circumstances.
"Ah, welcome to you all,"
he said, his grasp on Japanese rougher.
"Thank you for meeting with us, Mr. Thorman,"
Yuka said, bowing to him. Kazuya kept the other two off to the side, not blocking the doorway. That should be taken as less threatening. There was some music in his mind, but it was strangely faint. What was it?
"It was very upsetting to see they would go so far as a widely publicized execution,"
Thorman said.
"I am glad you all came out of it well." "Actually, that wasn't Goto himself, but a rogue member of his faction that set that up,"
Yuka said.
"We expect that Goto himself will prove more reasonable. If I may get down to business, the reason we've come is to suggest a cessation of aggressions between the human factions in this situation, to both you and Goto. Everyone has been scrambling to survive the past few days, thinking primarily of themselves or their loved ones. But we need to get started on restoring order and making Japan safe on a wide scale. Our group has found ways to combat the demons and we are willing to teach them to others to regain control of the situation. First, though, we all need to cooperate as humans to present a unified force against the demon invasion." "Yes, that would be a lovely thing to have done,"
Thorman said.
"But, there is a problem with this. You see, we came in because we got proof that this renegade Goto is the one who brought the demons into your nation. We came here to bringing the situation under control quickly, because the presence of demons is threat to the entire world. But they came before we expected and have proven harder to fight than we first envisioned. We would be happy to extend protection to Japanese citizens, we are already working towards that. But the militia forces are striking at us whenever we try to help establish other safe zones."
It was the melody of law, Kazuya recognized. Perhaps Thorman had contact with angels. Or perhaps not, given how faint it was. He might just be a messiah, considering that the religion was more popular outside of Japan.
"We have noticed that you have soldiers protecting a few areas already,"
Yuka said.
"If we go to talk Goto down with his malicious aggressions, would you cooperate with them? At least while the threat of demons are around." "We would,"
Thorman said.
"But, be cautious in trusting Goto. We have gotten information that states that he has been trying to summon one of the most powerful of the fallen, Lucifer, to back him up. If you get him in the mood for talking terms, make sure that he is to agree that he will not do so. Such a thing would be a grievous mistake." "Yes, we wouldn't want that either,"
Yuka said.
"We'll contact Goto next, but I expect to be back so we can arrange things for a face-to-face meeting that's peaceful." "Wonderful, I will be looking forward to that,"
Thorman said, smiling at them. They remained quiet as they walked through the American base. Outside, Jin said,
"At least he's acting agreeable. Don't know how far I'd trust him, though. He has some good points, but did he have to come into our country so forcefully?"
Alan asked.
"It was alarming when we had armed American troops in Tokyo without any warning. If he had just stated his purposes up front, it would have made more sense, might have gotten people working with him. It is strange considering that he's an ambassador,
Yuka said.
He should be aware of such issues, even if demons are a dire threat. What do you think, Kaz?
Based on his intuition, the music, and his police training.
He's trying to sway us to his side,
Kazuya said.
I wouldn't count on him having the interests of Japan and its citizens in mind. As long as he's willing to negotiate, we can work around him. But we should be alert to any new motions of the American forces. That sounds like how we should be for now,
Yuka said in agreement. About an hour later, delayed by demons and the rain, they came to the base in Ichigaya where Goto was. The guards there were more suspicious of their pass.
Wait, aren't you that Yuka woman who's the resistance leader?
She had them to back her up, so she replied confidently,
Yes, but I have come to open negotiations between the American ambassador Thorman and Counselor Goto. The citizens are dying and these times are too dangerous for humanity to be fighting with each other. Could we see the counselor?
Meanwhile, Kazuya had to hold a hand out to Jin to not make any moves that would be seen as threatening. They'd fight if need be, but peaceful means were important now.
Really?
A guard asked, surprised with the rest.
Give us a moment.
One guard remained to keep watch over them while the others left to discuss the matter, eventually calling in. When they came back, it seemed good.
All right, Goto has agreed to speak with you. We promise that we won't incarcerate or otherwise harm any of you while you are working on these negotiations. Thank you, we mean no aggressions ourselves,
Yuka said. Goto's bunker was half office and half temple, with the soldiers kept stationed away from the leaders' quarters. It had a more organized feel than the American base. But then, he would have had more time to set up here. The room they met him in was more of a meditation or martial arts practice room, with traditional scrolls on the wall and bamboo mats on the floor. There were also a great many strange markings all over the floor, walls, and even the ceiling. While Kazuya recognized a few as being similar to ones he had seen in the Heretic Mansion, he had no clue what it was all about. Goto himself was dressed more like he was doing traditional meditations rather than leading the country. In person, he looked much older and worn than his televised appearances.
Welcome, young Yuka and her associates,
Goto said pleasantly to them, like any elder might to a young person. Kazuya noticed the chaos theme playing here, although it was much stronger than what he had heard with Thorman. Yuka bowed to him.
Thank you for meeting with us on such short notice. Before we begin, I'd like to apologize for what happened yesterday,
he said, bowing his head.
Those were not my actions, but those of a rogue unit within my militia. There's been a mystery woman named Yuriko who persuaded several units to ignore the chain of command. We suspected that was so,
Yuka said, keeping a straight face in spite of things.
Unfortunately, I don't have full control over the militia anymore,
Goto said.
We set up the blockades at first to prevent wide-scale riots, but that has led communications between districts to break down. It would take a significant amount of work to reconnect everyone and get transports moving again. That is part of what I wish to speak with you about. If I may.
He nodded.
Our group would like to suggest a cessation of aggressions among humans while we take back control over our city from the demon. We don't like that the American troops are here either, but since they are, it would be best if we can use their soldiers to help with keeping the demons in check. There is worry about supplies and lost loved ones everywhere in the city now. Until we stabilize ourselves and stop people from dying to demons, we should work together instead. I've already spoke with the American ambassador and he seems willing to start negotiations, at least through us. Then you're already ahead of me in terms of that,
Goto said.
But, I cannot agree to work with him, or any foreign powers. It would be difficult to get them home at this point,
Yuka pointed out.
And they would take the risk of demons escaping Japan with them. The invasion is restricted to our nation at the moment, but we should do what we can to limit the spread.
He shook his head.
That doesn't matter, for you see, the world is already against us. There is a secret plan that has been in the workings for years known as the Japanese Obliteration Plan. The rest of the world has been planning to get rid of us all along. Do you know why that is? It is because we are the most advanced nation that has the weakest holdings of the Messiah Church.
At his side, Alan bit his lip and looked down. This was going to be rough on him to keep quiet. Kazuya patted his arm, trying to keep unnoticed by Goto. At least Alan wasn't wearing his school uniform today. Goto went on.
I haven't revealed this much to the public, since I do not wish to start a panic. But the plan has gone far enough that America is poised to launch intercontinental missiles armed with nuclear warheads right at Japan. They are even more eager to do so with the demons that we have called out. Once they get rid of us, they plan to build the foundation of a 1,000-year kingdom focused on their Messiah God right over our ruins. They say that all will be welcomed if they only believe, but what they do not say is that all who won't believe or even doubt in the slightest will be cast out into a nuclear wasteland, fated to eternal torment merely for not believing the same way they do.
Alan looked like he really wanted to speak up, but they didn't want to incite Goto. He looked to Kazuya, briefly showing some upset at this. Jin rolled his eyes and looked away.
It's not so,
Alan whispered to him.
I believe you,
Kazuya whispered back. At least, he was sure Alan wouldn't want that. He may have been a Messiah, but he was also Japanese like the rest of them.
Did you really allow the demons into our nation?
Yuka asked. Remarkably, she was keeping a neutral tone. Kazuya was sure she had proved to be infuriated once she wasn't in front of Goto. The militia leader seemed oblivious as he nodded.
They are going to be our greatest asset in defending ourselves. It's been a rough start, more than I wished for, but that will soon change. The trouble with demons is that they do not listen to others easily. One must first earn their respect. But we can get around this by bringing in someone they will absolutely respect. I am speaking of course of their leader, Lord Lucifer, whom I've already begun negotiations with to return him to the world.
Alan shut his eyes to that, while even Jin obviously thought this was a dumb plan. Ahead of them, Yuka was still trying to keep composed.
The demons are harming innocent citizens, sir, they're causing most of the problems we're experiencing right now. Who would demons even help? We're having to coerce and bribe them with technology and material goods that we still sorely need just to keep them from attacking us. Wouldn't calling their leader here make things worse? You even admitted that you don't control the militia anymore, how can you control the leader of all demons? I had a feeling you wouldn't be easy to convince,
Goto said, reaching for something at his side. Kazuya braced himself to run for Yuka.
But I am willing to put my life on the line for the future of our nation. We will rise up to the heights we deserve, and you will be witnesses to how that will come to be.
Then he drew out a knife rapidly, drawing it across his own chest. It had a golden handle, like a ceremonial weapon. As he began dying, the melody in Kazuya's head grew oppressive. The markings all over the room began to glow with a hellish hue. He grabbed Yuka as she was shocked to see Goto's withered body fall into a fresh pool of his own blood. The blood began trailing out into the enigmatic lines.
We have to get out of here, now,
he ordered.
What the hell was that about?
Jin asked as Yuka nodded and withdrew with him towards the door.
Is he seriously doing this to summon Lucifer? Yes, I can feel it,
Kazuya said, throwing the door open and hurrying the others out. He heard a hiss as he became the last one in the room, one that should be audible and worrying. As he left the room, the glow of the markings intensified. But they were already running for the exit. The guards outside yelled after them. Although this couldn't look good, he knew he had to get his allies out of that danger.
"He's really calling the devil into our world,"
Alan said, shaken by it. He was trying to keep strong, but none of them had expected that sacrifice to happen.
"This is terrible, shouldn't we do something about it?" "We can't right now,"
Kazuya said.
"I know it's bad, but we're having a hard enough time with the demons that have gotten in already. I don't think we're capable of taking on Lucifer at this point." "That may be beyond us for now,"
Yuka agreed.
"Ugh, this is awful. I'm sorry guys, I thought they would be reasonable. And now we're not sure who's controlling the militia. Ozawa would be my best guess." "He's injured, as I shot him in the shoulder yesterday to rescue you,"
Kazuya said.
"And then he ran away like a pansy,"
Jin said, still angry over that.
"Let's try talking with Thorman again,"
Yuka said.
"We'll need him and his troops to keep order."
Back at the American base, they were quickly escorted back in.
"How did things go?"
Thorman asked.
"Not well,"
Yuka admitted.
"He refuses to listen to any suggestions about working with foreigners. And he may be further along in his summoning in Lucifer than expected. He said he was willing to give his own life for that." "I see, this is no good,"
Thorman said.
"Would you be willing to help us eradicate the militia for good?"
She looked aside a moment. Kazuya felt bad for her since none of this was turning out right.
"Some of them are bad, but not all of them. They're still our countrymen and we must stand behind the good ones." "In that case, I will have to eradicate you with them,"
Thorman said, tugging at his jacket. There was a white flash and with no more warning, he transformed into a hulking giant of an ancient warrior. The very air of the room bristled with energy.
"This demonic invasion will be stopped by any means, no matter how many must die."
Yuka stepped back while they came forward.
"Sir, we don't mean to." "No more negotiations," he said, waving his battle hammer at them. A loud crash sounded behind them. Kazuya glanced back and noted that there was now a magical force field around the door. They were stuck with this fight. "For the glory of God's 1,000-year reign, you will perish." "Wait,"
Alan said, but got shot with a powerful burst of lightning as a result. Jin got right up in this being's face, attacking with his axe. He got thrown into the wall hard enough to crack it. Kazuya called up on his demons Frost Giant, Dryad, and Angel to support them. They definitely didn't want to be facing this lightning being defenseless. Now behind them, Yuka used her own abilities to heal Jin and Alan. Although, the shock of getting attacked in the name of his own god was going to make it hard for Alan to keep his head in this fight.
"This isn't how God's reign is supposed to start,"
Alan said in a panic.
"I'm with the Messian Church, I go to their school. We're not supposed to sacrifice each other's lives. Sacrifice is an abhorrent thing, by the oldest scriptures the Church follows."
That distracted Thorman enough that Kazuya had a moment to check on his demons. He had an idea. If it worked, things might get easier on them.
"Sacrifice for your God is a glorious thing. If you truly believe, you will be honored after death as a martyr. But still, I must stop all of you. I am Thor and no one escapes my vengeance." "This isn't right,"
Alan said, bewildered and in tears. Kazuya quickly set Frost Giant to protect Alan for the moment.
"Wait, why are you with the Messians?"
Jin asked, unsteadily getting to his feet.
"You're a Norse god, what the hell is this?" "That doesn't matter,"
Thor, or whoever this was, said.
"None of this will matter, as I have already sent the order to the American president to launch the nuclear missiles at Japan. What is this insanity?
Yuka asked in horror.
Why us? What did we ever do wrong?
He snorted.
It would be senseless for you to learn that now, for you will simply perish before everyone else. Glory be to God.
He then raised his hammer and struck the floor forcefully, knocking them all off their feet. Fortunately, Kazuya had his plan ready. He used his comp to order Dryad to use Marin. She waved to him and blew a kiss at him. It was odd to think of her as attractive as she had bark all over her skin, with a dress made of leaves. But the charm spell worked. Thor got flustered and his next hammer blow hit himself.
He's enthralled for now, but don't let up,
Kazuya said to encourage the others.
We should at least be able to defeat him.
In their final moments, perhaps, but this wasn't the moment to dwell on that. Fortunately, his companions agreed to the idea. Alan drew his Kodachi now, ready to fight back as well.
This is wrong, whoever you are. The god I have faith in is loving and would not do this.
He slashed at Thor with a powerful strike. Even though Alan was physically weaker than the rest of them, his weapon was just as capable as the axe that Jin had. By the time Dryad's enthrallment ended on Thor, Jin was able to strike the last blow to kill him.
What now?
Jin asked, trying to act tough.
Did he really call nukes on us? It'd be hard to say here,
Kazuya said, starting to check the desk to see if there was a document left around. Yuka caught his hand, causing him to look at her. There was a tremendous explosion, everything melted into white. Hardly thinking, Kazuya went right to Yuka and kissed her. He felt himself disappearing.
We're all going to die if we do nothing,
Yuka said to him, pulling back briefly.
You at least should survive.
What was she thinking?
No, wait,
he said, gripping her hand tight and not wanting to let her go.
There is something you must do still,
she said, then cast some kind of spell. He felt like he was blown away from her by a massive gust of cold wind.
Yuka. No.
But she was gone. They were all gone. Maybe, even he was gone? Why? Was there something different he should have done? End of chapter.